Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Kitchings Table. I'm your host, Earl Kitchings, and as always on Tuesday mornings, we're here to bring you something new and interesting, something entertaining or delightful. We never know where we're going to be with our topics, but we do know that when we deliver them, it will be informative or educational or a combination of the two. You will get something from being at the Kitchings Table, trust me. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Ms. Ronline Cannady. Good morning, Ronline.
Good morning, Earl. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right, Ronline, 70 days and counting.
Woohoo!
70,
The
70
war
days
is
and
on.
counting.
The war is
Oh
on.
my goodness. I think we're still a buzz from the DNC, but now that that chapter has been written and that book closed, the real battles begin.
Yes, it's like let
And
the work begin. The
yes, yes,
canvassing and the phone calls, getting people out, helping them understand what's
you're
going
gonna
on.
you're probably gonna get tired of the commercials.
Hmm. Oh yeah, all of that badgering. And that's that was the one thing that captured my attention when I was younger. It's when you know some of the candidates and you know how they live, and when you see all of this trash talking happening, and you're looking and you're like, wait a minute, that's not their life. That's not who
Right,
they are. And
right.
it's like, okay, and we weren't allowed to say the word lying back in the day, but that's all it was, lies spinning.
Uh, well, in today's terms, that would be called alternative facts.
Oh, yeah, fancy and sophisticated, huh?
Yes, that's an alternative fact.
Hmm.
Let's dissect that. Alternative meaning different or another.
Yes.
But if you add fact to it, a
Mm,
fact is a truth. A fact is a truth, something that is actual.
mm.
So you can't call it an alternative fact if it's a lie.
Yes.
Yeah. A fact is a fact and a lie is a lie. Something
Like,
that's not
yes,
true is not true.
it's not
But to
true.
call it a, well, but you had to clean it up some kind of way. And they cleaned it up by saying, well, that's an alternative fact.
Mm,
Hmm.
okay.
I see.
Mhm.
An alternative fact. Well, that's a new one on us. Okay. Alternative fact. Okay.
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
yes.
Something
So,
other than the truth.
mm,
Okay. So, anyway, as we prepare for the next 70 days of political, I
alternative
don't,
facts.
no, I'm not going to call it that because there's going to be a lot of facts going on. There's going to be a lot of facts and a lot of truth going on. What
Okay.
side of that you want to line up on, I don't know,
Mm,
but hopefully most of us will line up on this one side, Ronline, liberty and justice
justice
for
for
all.
all. And that's, honestly, whoever gets in these homes, in these houses, as I want to say, in the branches, that's what I wanted to really be all about. Justice for all. you know
Well, I'm here to give you a wake up call.
it's not going to happen, not in our lifetime.
It's not about justice for all.
Okay.
It's about justice for some. And
Yeah.
depending on what some you're talking about, because have you ever heard the question asked, which one is heavier, 5 pounds of sugar? I'm sorry, 5 pounds of cotton or 5 pounds of nails? Which one is heavier?
Yeah, I've heard that, and it's like, okay, if it's 5 pounds, why would either
Five,
be heavier than the other?
well, of course, neither would be heavier. 5 pounds is 5 pounds. I don't care what it is. 5 pounds is 5 pounds.
Hmm.
However, the mental concept for
Hmm.
cotton, and we know that cotton is a very light thing, it's got to be the cotton because nails are heavy, cotton is light. So light must be Cotton must be lighter than 5 pounds of nails. Okay,
Mhm.
well, that's one way to look at it, but it's not accurate.
Mhm.
So that's some, there's a sum over there of cotton and there's a sum over there of nails. It's not, might be 5 nails, but it might be, you know, X amount of pieces of cotton. So it just depends on where you want to be, you want to believe, who you think is telling you the truth and not alternative facts,
Mhm.
who is wanting to be honest enough with you where you know what you're going to get. Are you buying a whole loaf or a half a loaf?
Yes.
It looks like a whole loaf of bread, yeah, but it's only
Mhm.
a half.
Half.
Well,
Mhm.
I thought I bought a whole loaf. Yeah, we know, and we thought you were smart enough to know that we were selling you a half, but we told you it was a whole. But okay, so anyway, and I'm a stickler for being a little bit less engaged in the political side of doing topics on the show. However, sometimes you just can't avoid. Sometimes you just can't avoid what is right in front of you. So
Yes.
today our topic is political warfare. And I wanted to bring this forth because a extremist group recently put out a act they were going to carry out to keep presidential candidate Kamala Harris from being elected as president of the United States. So the National Federation of Republican Assemblies, what they're saying is Kamala can't be president because a 170-year-old Supreme Court decision likens her to a slave. We are 170 years removed, and folks are still dwelling on laws that were written pre 20th century, you know. And the sad part about it is they are fighting tooth and nail to do whatever they can to win an election. And as the great sportscaster or sports talk show host Jim Rome was very, very eloquent in saying, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And the Republicans are turning over every pebble, not rock, not stone, not boulder, every pebble to try to cheat to win an election. So this is just the first thing out of the box for them as we get ready. Now that she's been declared the nominee for president from the Democratic Party, this is where they are. So before I get into that article, I wanted to start off with a few things. First of all, political organizations. Political organizations. And political organizations may include labor unions, professional societies, business and trade associations, churches. Did I say churches?
You did.
Churches, neighborhood and community organizations, fraternities and sororities, national and race ethnic federations, civic service, philanthropic and cooperative groups, medical and legal societies, conservation leagues, recreational and hobby clubs. They all encompass a broad range of formed goals. Everybody's got their own platform, their own mission statement. So, yes, political organizations can cover a lot of groups. Now, put that over to the left side, and here's the next thing I wanted to share with you. The term is called white supremacy. White supremacy. And we hear it, and many of us know what it means. Some of us hear it and just roll with it. But white supremacy is the belief that white people are superior to those of other races and they should dominate them. The belief favors the maintenance and defense of any power and privilege held by white people. It has its roots in the now discredited doctrine of scientific racism and was a key justification for European colonialism. That's what it's been defined as on Wikipedia. Superior to those of other races, and thus should dominate them. You should not have any say. You should not have any liberty. You should not have any freedom. You should not have justice. I tell you what you should get. Well, that died over 100 years ago. Oh, well over 100 years ago. However, in 2023, Ronline, the Southern Poverty Law Center documented 1,430 hate and anti-government extremist groups that comprise the organization infrastructure upholding white supremacy in the United States. (1,430) hate and anti-government extremist groups in the United States. That's a lot of organizations that are fixed on hatred and wanting to deny people liberty and their justice and freedom. That's a lot. Now, I didn't go into finding out how many people that actually comprises, but I did put down some names of some groups. And of course, when you hear white supremacy, what's the first group comes to your mind?
The 3Ks.
The 3Ks.
Mm-hmm.
The 3Ks. Long been a standard of hatred, racial hatred. Long been the bar for wanting to make sure that people of color do not have what the Constitution of the United States says they should have: liberty and justice, freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom. When people want to take away your rights, your freedoms, this is a problem. So there's some terms I found that I was not aware of that I want to share. And I'm sure we can discuss these and you'll find them quite interesting. The first term I found that relates to political actions is called astroturfing.
Mm.
Are you familiar with that term?
Not until today when I saw that, and and I was I had to come up with the 500 A words, right? And
Okay.
astroturfing was not one of them. But as I looked at it today, I'm like, wow, okay, that's a new A word.
Well, in this particular context, it is, because as soon as you say astroturfing, your mind automatically goes to a sports stadium, and that's the field that they play on. So they're on astroturf. Astroturf became the name of the surface. It got its name because it was the name of the surface that was used in the old Astrodome, where the Houston Astros and the Houston Oilers would play baseball and football games. Primarily, it was for baseball. The Houston Astros. So they put down this surface instead of grass. They put down this artificial surface, and they call it AstroTurf, because that's where the Astros play. They play on this turf. That's the
Okay.
AstroTurf because it's in the Astrodome. So,
Oh, okay.
i.e., it must be AstroTurf if it's in the Astrodome. But that's not what astroturfing is. Well, Earl, what is astroturfing? I'm glad you asked. This is not an alternative fact either.
Let's say that.
This is not an alternative fact.
Mhm.
Astroturfing is the deceptive practice of hiding the sponsors of an orchestrated message or organization, political, advertising, religious, or public relations, to make it appear as though it originates from and is supported by unsolicited grassroots participants.
Okay. And to your point,
Yes,
astroturfing, artificial grass.
yes. So we have grassroots
Hmm.
where that's kind of like you going out in the neighborhoods and getting people to come on board with, you just out there putting out a message without any advertising, anything. So now the opposite of that is called astroturfing.
Mm.
The implication behind the use of this term is that instead of true or natural grassroots efforts behind the activity in question, there is a fake or artificial appearance of support. Now, the word FAKE,
That has been said for about what, 8 years now?
yes, for about 8 years.
Mhm.
And as much as it's been said, the person saying it embodies FAKE.
Mhm.
I mean, in a major way. And everything that they put out when it's time to be in whining mode, and I always thought it was funny when people would be whining and somebody would say, "Do you want some cheese to go with your wine? You want some cheese to go with that wine? Because you're whining a lot over there."
Mhm.
But when you put out all this misinformation, so they went from alternative facts to misinformation, one and the same. Misinformation, alternative facts. What's the three-letter word you would call it, Ronline?
Lie.
Okay, you lied.
You just lying.
You're just telling a lie. But
Mhm.
that's what this fake stuff has become. And astroturfing is used primarily for influence public opinion, typically funded, check this out, typically funded by corporations and political entities to form opinions. Why would a corporation want to form people's opinions other than to buy their product and or service? Why would you want to form my political opinion? Hmm. Astroturfing, fake or artificial appearance of support. Fake. It looks like and it smells like, but it's not.
Mhm.
Like they say, if it looks like a duck and sounds like a duck and quacks like a duck, it must be a duck. Unless you're astroturfing the duck.
Astroturfing.
They're astroturfing that duck. Hey,
unless you
Donald.
unless you're
Hey,
mimicking
Ronline.
that, yeah.
Ronline. Hey, Donald. Hey, Daffy. They're over there astroturfing you guys.
Mhm. Mhm.
Since those are the two famous ducks we know about in cartoons. Hey, Donald. Hey, Daffy. Daffy, definitely. Because, when they would do the Daffy Ducks, man, and he'd be talking, boy, and all the saliva just be popping off his mouth when he's talking, you know. But why would you want to form people's political opinions if you're a corporation?
Goes back to what you always talked about. Follow the money.
Oh,
Money.
it's about that money.
It's all about the money.
Oh, man, the dead presidents,
Mhm.
the Benjamins.
Mhm.
I see.
Mhm.
I see. Okay, well, if that's what it's all about. So now, but check this out.
Hold
Many,
on. That's what makes me think about what we're dealing with right now. What we heard with Elon Musk want to take his money
yep,
and a large corporation take his money and funnel it into astroturfing, if you will.
For a fake candidate
Mm-hmm.
who has hovering over his head 2 impeachments,
Mm-hmm.
one $80 million civil suit, and
Mm-hmm.
34 felony counts.
And here's the sad part about it. When you add in child molestation
Mm-hmm.
charges,
Mm-hmm.
children have been
Mm-hmm.
hurt, and this man is already served as president, and you
Yep.
want him back again, and now you really understand the dissection of what his lifestyle has been all about.
Yep. Now,
Are we serious?
if it was anybody else, because as I peruse the internet and see how religious, I don't even know if I should call them so-called religious leaders or religious leaders, law enforcement officers are being sentenced for sexual crime and pedophilia, crimes against children. When you see that, we know how deep the abuse of children by priests in the Catholic Church that's been documented well. When you hear about that, anybody else who had done all these things that this, and Ronline, check this out. There are times I'm just challenged. I can't call him I can't even put the word man on it. So I've gone to using person.
Yes.
That this person, anybody else who would have done and has done and continues to do, by the rhetoric and the things they say, anybody else, the people who support him would be vehemently opposed and be out there banging the drum and beating the streets and just screaming bloody murder. No, no, no. But they wave the flag. They put the bumper sticker on. They speak up in favor of this person. Unbelievable.
Yes.
Now, many countries have laws that prohibit more overt astroturfing practices. In the U.S., the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, may, doesn't say will, it says may, send cease and desist orders or require a fine of $16,000 per day for those that violate guidelines concerning the use of endorsements and testimonials in advertising. You can do it, we're just going to fine you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. $16,000 a day. For 10 days, that's $160,000. Well, if you got millions, okay, we're going to keep running it. We're going to pay you the fine, but we're going to keep running it. That's one of the problems. That is one of the problems. No, you may not be on the airways at all. And that's been part of what has happened. So astroturfing. Here's another term. Sock puppets. Are you familiar with sock puppets?
Never heard of it until today.
Now you know there is such a thing as a real sock puppet where you take the sock and you make it like it's talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sock puppets. Another technique where a single person creates multiple identities online to give the appearance of grassroots support. Sock puppets. Wow. Go astroturf you and then hit you with a sock puppet. This is the political warfare that's going on. It may have been going on, but it is highlighted more now than ever.
Thank God for the internet and technology, for people to really be able to understand that, all of the moving parts that's going on around, to make sure that your vote or lack thereof goes into a direction that supports things that are just foolishness, actually.
Right. But all of these things, the astroturfing. Let me get a little bit more into the sock puppet. We already said it is a person, a single person, creates multiple identities online for deceptive purposes. The sock puppet includes online identities created to praise, defend, or support a person or an organization, to manipulate public opinion, or to circumvent restrictions such as viewing a social media account that a user is blocked from. Sock puppets are unwelcome in many online communities and forums, except where they're wanted. So if you're an extremist, maybe on the right, even on the left, and this is what you're doing, you might get cut off. But it doesn't mean it's the end, because, hey, if you can sock puppet 70 million Americans into believing a person who has done so much damage continues to do damage, hey, wait, stop, hold it. Fake an assassination? He wouldn't do that, would he? You actually would fake being shot?
All is fair in political war, right?
All this fair political war.
That's what I learned out of this. All is fair in political war.
Okay, so now we're gonna delve into another word, uh, a type of support. No, I'm sorry, a type of sock puppet. A type of sock puppet. There were a few of them, but I picked this one out. Ballot stuffing,
Mm.
because they're always talking about, oh, they stole the election, they did this at the ballots. It's like, okay, and you guys are getting all these fake electors at these sites to validate. Now you want to get these people to not validate the election because you want to make sure you win. And when we talk about the art of playing a contest, a game, there is a winning side and a losing side. That's just the nature of playing a game, of competing. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. You want to teach your children how to accept losing in a sportsmanlike way, with a good heart. Accept losing. Okay, it's not the end of the world. You lost, but it's not the end of the world. But when you want to, and my dad was a big proponent of using, don't use that word. He did not like to hear you use the word cheat. You could be unfair, maybe improper, but man, if you said cheat, man, the red flag went off in his head, and it's like, and I remember him telling me, son, don't use that word cheating. Don't say somebody cheated, because you don't really know most of the time. So don't say they cheated. Say that wasn't fair. Okay, I can go along with that. But cheating, but when we know that people are blatantly cheating, hey, that's another story. We're halfway through our show today. This is the Kitchings Table. I'm your host, Earl Kitchings, and my co-host, Ronline Cannady, always here for the entertaining conversation that we want to generate for our viewers and listeners. And we know that you can't always catch our show here, but you can always go back and go online and find it another day to hear, well, what did they talk about today? So this is the Kitchings Table. Every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., we are here to bring you our thoughts and information about topics that go from A to Z. Today, we're talking about political warfare. We're 70 days away from the election of a new president in 2024. And the battle is on now that both candidates, Republican and Democrat, have been selected. As they say in the boxing arena, go to your corners and come out fighting.
Yes.
I love having a co-host who can laugh at some of my jokes that may take a moment for folks to get. It's like, okay, I get that one. So
Well,
anyway, we're gonna go back to the terms ballot stuffing, sock puppets, and sock puppets may be created during an online poll to increase the puppeteer's votes. A related usage is the creation of multiple identities, each supporting the puppeteer's view in an argument attempting to position the puppeteer as representing majority opinion and sideline opposition voices. Sock puppets use deceptive fake identities in stealth marketing. Stealth marketing is a type of advertising in which a product or service is promoted in a way that is intended to draw attention without appearing to be promotional. Stealth marketing, unlike guerrilla marketing. Guerrilla marketing is when you surprise or use unconventional interactions in order to promote a product or service. A type of publicity, you kind of just come out the box with it. You work, it's not formed and structured. you know. So ballot stuffing, guerrilla marketing, stealth marketing, sock puppets, astroturfing, all part of the political warfare that's going on to determine who will be the next president of the United States of America. Because if the country goes the way of the former or the ex president, America will be a different kind of country. And other democratic countries around the world are holding their breath, Ronline, to see what America is going to do. Because it is the most powerful democracy in the world. And if it goes down to the nonsense that the so-called Republican Party is pushing forward under misinformation, alternative facts, and believing that they can do whatever they want to. They want to go autocratic. We are going to be in a boatload of trouble. So now, let me go to the National Federation of Public Assemblies, a political organization which promotes conservative principles and candidates within the Republican Party. Members at the local, state, and national levels work to recruit and elect Republican candidates who reflect the party's conservative philosophy and to oppose so-called rhinos. And for those who don't know what rhinos are, Republicans in name only. Rhinos are those Republicans who take the positions of the left party's conservative mainstream. The Republican Assembly has three main purposes, Ronline. Number one, recruit activists into the Republican Party, to elect conservative leadership to party offices, to endorse and work for the nomination of conservative candidates in party primaries. The third one is probably the most critical one. Endorse and work for the nomination of conservative candidates in party primaries. We focus so much on the presidency that we don't pay attention to the local and state races that are going on. And those are probably the more critical ones because those are the ones that affect us more directly because those politicians are the people that come together for us, like in the state of Florida, maybe Texas, Alabama, Arkansas. And I point those states out because their governors are hardcore extreme as to how they want things to be turned around. You know, Ronnie, I saw a picture online the other day, and it was a picture of a few, I think it was maybe three black men being lynched from
Mm.
back in the early part of the 20th century, somewhere between 1910 maybe and 1920. And when I saw that, you know what came to mind?
What came to mind?
I put out a question. Is this woke?
Mm.
Is this woke? Since you don't want to talk about truth and the reality of what has happened in this country, you don't want certain books to be put out. Is this picture woke? Because guess who didn't take that picture? No black person took that picture.
Mm-hmm.
So, should we call that woke? Is that woke? I mean, they said, well, you know, all you woke politicians and woke theories and all this woke stuff, is that woke?
Mm. Great
Because
question.
that is a reality that has happened in this country. And to bring attention to the great Billie Holiday song, Strange Fruit,
Fruit. Yeah.
Strange Fruit hanging on the
Get on the
vine.
street. Yeah. Bring it on the
Okay.
vines.
That's when she talked about strange fruit, that's what she meant. Black
Mm-hmm.
people being lynched
Mm-hmm.
and it being okay. Taking pictures. I mean, you got a community, fathers, mothers, grandparents, children, standing there watching a black person be lynched, probably for something they didn't even do. But you took pictures of all of this and then you put it in your books and it's okay. It's okay for white children to see a picture of a black person being lynched and or burned at the same time. That's okay. But to tell you the history of proud black Americans who served this country, who fought in World War I and II and became heroes, for the hundreds of fighter pilots who saved bombers from being destroyed in World War II, the Tuskegee Airmen. You don't want that to be known, but that picture. So that struck me. I was like, is this woke? So anyway, the Republican assemblies have an advisory board, and they also are connected to the Tea Party. But the advisory board I found was interesting. Members of the advisory board for the National Federation of Republican Assemblies include Jim Pinkerton, former Fox News contributor and policy director for Reagan and Bush; Raphael Cruz, the father of Ted Cruz; Bob Fisher, former conservative founder of Conservatives of Faith; Crisis Magazine publisher Deal Hudson; former appeals court justice. Listen, former appeals court justice and leader of the conservative resurgency in the Southern Baptist Convention, Paul Pressler; National Religious Broadcasters President Jerry Johnson; fund manager and best-selling author Kevin Freeman; former Republican Study Committee Executive Director Paul Teller; and former U.S. Congressman Ernest Istook. That's the advisory committee board as it was stated recently. So when you say you want this 90-year-old organization to bring up the 1857 Dred Scott Supreme Court decision to state that Harris cannot run for president per the Constitution of the United States because her parents weren't naturally born here in America, which means she's not a natural citizen of America, according to them. Dred Scott versus Stanford declared that slaves weren't U.S. citizens and thus not protected by the federal government. Weren't U.S. citizens. Well, where were they born then? In the United States. Not only that, but this organization is also wanting to invalidate Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy running for president based on citizen requirements, which state that only natural born citizens can hold a position. Wow. Only natural born citizens. So this is what they're wanting to pull forward to try to keep her from becoming president of the United States.
But it's okay for her to be vice president.
It was vice president, but no power because she doesn't make the final decisions. But this is how they want to attack her. But the swell of support, boy, things are busting at the seams. You know, they wanted, I think, to do what they could for the 44th president, Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
And say, well, you know, he wasn't naturally born. Well, his mother was, I don't know. I mean, it becomes so convoluted with folks wanting to hold on to power, power and money, money and power. You know, I want to control you. I don't want you to have any control. I don't want you to have anything. Only what I tell you you can have. So, uh, you know, the number of groups uh, in America, white supremacist groups, there are 36 white supremacist groups, but like I already told you, there are 1,430 hate and anti-governmental groups throughout the country. I did find, and I know someone is saying, well, Earl, you didn't talk about any Democratic, you know, you sound like you're just talking about Republican. Well, I found it's called the Democracy Fund. It jumped out at me. It's a charitable foundation created by eBay founder Pierre Omidyar, independent private foundation since 2014 with a mission to improve the democratic process in the United States so that it better benefits voters. See, some organizations want to benefit people and lift everyone up. They want the whole boat to come up. Others want to blow the boat up and sink it. One group that you better be very mindful of is called the Moms for Liberty. Moms for Liberty, an American conservative or far-right political organization that advocates against school curricula that mention LGBT rights, race and ethnicity, critical race theory, and discrimination. Let's send that picture of those black people being lynched to the Moms of Liberty and ask them, is this woke? Because guess who did the lynching? Maybe not directly your relatives, but the people who look like you did this hateful act. And if we did this hateful act today, if black people did this hateful act today to other folks, you cry bloody murder.
Yes.
So that part is something that I wanted to bring out. And just so you know, Moms for Liberty now says it has 80,000 members in 34 states. 80,000 moms or whatever it's members. They may not all be moms, but you know, you would assume they're all moms because they're Moms for Liberty. But again, this is what we are dealing with in this political warfare now for presidency. So while you have groups that want to help the cheat, they talk about who's trying to steal. I think y'all are trying to steal too. Y'all got
Yes.
a different way of doing it, and y'all organize and create things, and y'all while some people are sleeping, y'all over there burning the cross late at night to rally,
Mm, mm, mm,
and that's a woke symbol that you want to talk about too. Burning the cross. Hmm. Would a minister in a church on a Sunday say burn a cross based on what the symbolism is? But yet that strong organization with the three Ks, that's what they do.
mhm,
They burn a cross. They'll put a cross in your yard and burn it
mhm,
to threaten you, to let you know we've been here. We know where you are. Don't make us come back now. We'll come back. So
mhm.
anyway,
And we own the land.
huh?
We own the land. We own the
Right.
land. Mhm.
So that's political warfare for the day, Ronline. I'm gonna turn it over to you for your Black History fact for today.
All right. Thank you so much, Earl, for bringing things to us to make us think, to help us get our affairs in order, if you will. Today's Black History acknowledgement is Kaya Alderson. She's an author, and right now she's promoting her book, Never Underestimate a Woman with a Dream in a League of Her Own. And she's a graduate from Spelman College. And I just wanted to bring her to our forefront today because what she does is she writes about hidden figures in the African American women's history. Her book about Sisters in Arms was published in 2021. I recommend that you go on, you can find it on Amazon and a couple of other outlets, to look for both of her books, actually. She's written some romantic stories as well. And what I liked about this lady is this: she doesn't want our history to be forgotten. And in today's time, it's just like we just talked about the woke moment. um we have to write about everything, we have to document about everything, so that our children and our children's children, those generations, will know what we had to do in order to be heard, and that their voices are needed, their voices should be heard, their opinions should be noted, and we cannot let that die. So, Earl, I turn this over to you, and I thank you again for bringing this young lady to my light, so that I could, research her and bring her in our Black History acknowledgement moment today.
Okay, Ronline. Well, thank you very much for bringing us that biscuit of Black history. We
Yeah, because
always
when I think about the hidden figures, I think about those three ladies that got that man in space and back, right?
that they did, that
Mhm.
they did, and those type of stories continue to be part of our fabric. And I guess that movie was a woke movie too. So thank you so very much for bringing that. Well,
Oh,
we'll
my pleasure.
we must start to wind down today's show because we have reached that appointed time where we must call it a show and call it another one for the books. We do thank you for joining us here on the Kitchings table every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. We look forward to coming into your homes or offices or wherever you may be to bring you something informative or informational or a combination of the two or something entertaining and enlightening. We try to make sure that we don't miss any topic that could be relevant or important. So until next Tuesday morning, we ask you to join us. Tell your friends about us. If you've got a question, send it to us so we can address it. For my co-host Ronline Cannady, I'm Earl Kitchings. Until next Tuesday morning here on the Kitchings table, as we always say, do something good for somebody else today. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.